Yeah, just to let you know, I'm not a facilities professional, and those that know me know that I'm definitely not. Why am I standing out here presenting a document which is guidance for facilities professionals? It's partly because that document comes under the remit of the Smart Built Environment Group, which is one of the main working groups within the IoTSF. And I'm co-chair of that Smart Built Environment Group. And also, I did contribute some content to it. However, once the document was written, actually, I'll tell you what, let's get through the first couple of slides and I'll go into that there. So my role, why am I here? I'm here because of the role I've mentioned. The group itself, the Smart Built Environment Group, is far bigger and wider. It does cover lots of things. The documents, that there are a couple of documents that it has put together, and what we're trying to do is look at those sorts of things that various roles within a smart built environment need to be concerned about, need to be interested in, need to do something about. And basically, this is what the Smart Built Environment Group does. It looks at smart built environments and introduces, those environments do introduce new risks as well as benefits, and making cybersecurity a critical issue for property managers, facilities managers and manufacturers of IoT devices. A lot of what was said this morning, a lot of what's been presented already by the last three speakers do impact in a big way in terms of any technology that goes in. And role that I don't have anymore, I finished in August as a CISO for a company called AirEye. We came across within buildings, and there was an image earlier on of CCTV system. We identified in several buildings CCTV systems that had already been hacked, and they weren't within the organisation, which would be bad, but it's just as bad. It was neighbours' building, and let's stick to that for the moment. It was in a neighbour's building where the device that had been taken over, the firmware had been reinstalled, but this time the firmware didn't only make it work as a CCTV camera, it also opened it up as a router and as a wireless router aimed at the target neighbour that they were actually going after. And that wireless router broadcast the sort of SSID that you'd expect from that neighbour. Those are the sorts of attacks, and that's a wireless attack. And you can get that not just within your own building environment, but it's the airspace itself, and that's one of the things that we saw within that organisation, because that organisation worked around airspace. So it is communications, and anything that communicates, whether in any way whatsoever that it was interested in. So there are lots and lots of different types of attacks, and if you leave it to facilities people, it's something that may not be covered within their job remit. And working with AirEye, when I did, we came across so many environments where basically facilities and CISOs and the security team or the networking team really do not talk. So the importance of this is something that I personally have seen many, many times, as well as in the last year. The new suite of documents, there's 4 of them, and they're, at the moment there's a whole range that we've been involved in. One is the facilities one, that's the one that I'm going to talk about now. There's a building owners one, one for product manufacturers, for developers, and one for procurement. Now, there is already a procurement guide that we have that's current, but that's focused on one side of IoT. However, this one is almost entirely focused around smart buildings and smart built environments. Also, the group has been involved through myself. I sit on the BSIA group. They've got a document which is for installers, and that also impacts some of the work that we do here. So there are documents that do work side by side. Okay, so what's going to happen next? We've got some promotional activities that we've got earlier on this year. We've got some more coming out later on this year. All around what goes on and what's been happening within this document. The content within the document, this is the main part of the document. my work has been, apart from contributing some of it, what went into here. Actually, let me go back a slide a second. So hold on. What's happening here? Because this is going far more faster when I'm clicking this. I'm getting 2 clicked at the same time. I'll double click. So let's try this again. Right. This year, June to September. So what we've been doing is reworking the documents, and the aim has been to try and provide an ebook with target audience. We have been looking at sort of a whole range of work which has been around various standards. We've also done some work with on the NIST standard. We've also done some work on a range of other frameworks as well. Sorry, I'm just looking at this to make sure that there's nothing vitally urgent that I need to cover on this slide. So we have got promotional activities where we are promoting this, and we have promoted it early this year because the 4 documents that are coming out, they're not going to come out all at once, but we are trying to engage with the audiences because we're trying to get some reviews of these documents that we've got. And one of the reasons why where we've got to where we have, it's taken about 3 years, and the document originally, this document that I'm going to show you in a second, was originally about nearly 100 pages long, and last year, around about October time, I was tasked with the idea of reducing it, and I was given a template. That template reduced it to about 35 pages. We took it from there, went back, took it to the facilities group, and the facilities group said, well, all that is good, but what you've done is you've sort of thrown the baby out with the bathwater to some extent. You need this, you need this, you need this, because otherwise the facilities people who don't understand technology are going to start looking elsewhere for the content that they want that should be in here. So as a result of that, that work was done in the last two months. Yep, last 2 months. We've updated it and we've we've sort of put that content in. I think at the moment it's standing to about 55 pages. So we've rationalised all of that and brought it all and streamlined it. Rewrote all the intros, rewrote all the summaries and stuff like that to make it work. So what we were left with is a document that has got this content where we're covering the technologies. So over here, the smart building technology. So we've gone through some of the technologies. We've, in terms of the individual technologies, we've moved, because it was a massive section within there, we've actually moved it down to here as an appendix where we cover the whole range of technologies that smart built environments actually do use. Everything from, the car park type stuff through to lifts, escalators, apart from just CCTV systems, access control systems. So all the range of different technologies is what we've looked at. The governance, because basically, really getting teams to work with each other in the right way is quite important, and that's got to come from the top, and it can only be effective if it comes from the top and there is input from below as well. And what we did was we spent some time looking at the operational processes within what can be improved from the facilities perspective, and that was absolutely vital in making sure we covered all of those, and we covered them in the depth that we needed, and that we introduced the concepts that cybersecurity people are used to, but facilities people may not be in the same way. So some of the things like detection and response, recovery, resilience, and all of those sorts of things that there may not be, but there may be from a wider perspective of business continuity, but not when it comes from a cyber perspective. So we try to include all of those things, recommendations which are merged in with the CARS tables, and I'll cover them in a second. And then we've got sections on what the impacts, so if things go wrong, what are the impacts likely to be, including some of the standards that are out there that cover smart buildings and where to get help from. Because one of the things that we were very, very concerned about when we were putting this together was facilities people don't know where they can go to for help. There are plenty of things out there, but all those things that are out there are either far too technical or they're written for security people. So we tried to make sure that it wasn't dumbing down, that would be the wrong thing, but bringing it down to a level that takes the technology and the language that we're used to that can be understood, so that when they're talking to the right people, they are able to bring in the appropriate elements that they can and need to for explaining what they're trying to achieve. Now, in terms of the CARS and RACI tables, some of you may be familiar with RACI. That's responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. I've used that a lot. Many people have. What most of you may not have used in the past is CARS. And why we used CARS rather than RACI in our document is because that last bit there, support. We felt that RACI doesn't cover support, and we felt that facilities teams actually need a lot of support, and they need it from their network teams, they need the support from their cybersecurity teams and so on. So to bring in that support element, we changed it. We decided to use CARS rather than RACI tables. In terms of the actual tables and what they look like, these are two screenshots. Here is one on security governance. So you've got recommendations there, and you've got who we think should be involved and what the relationship should be, whether they should be consulted, or, authorising, responsible, supporting, whatever role it is. We've tried to include that within the whole lot. So if I go back a couple of slides, oops. So within each of the areas that we're talking about, what we tried to do is to provide a CARS table. We didn't achieve it completely, and I say that we didn't achieve it completely because the CARS tables were originally created for the older document. What we have got is most of this covered, but in a future version we will amend it and we will update it, but that's the current state of affairs. So we have got almost every technology and process there covered within the CARS tables, who should be doing what and what it is that they should actually be doing. So we have got, this is for security governance, and that covers, I think that image there is a wider image of this one, so this is a more detailed one. So we have tried to go through and try to make sure that everything that you would expect to have is there for this stage. Partly why we rushed it and we didn't update the CARS tables is because we thought we didn't want to delay the paper any further, and it's easier to amend the CARS tables for the middle of next year than to try and delay the whole document this year and take it into next year, because the number of people involved that we needed to agree this with is a wider group. So that's part of the reason. In terms of the document, when it's coming out, what's happening with it, it should be launched this year, meaning sort of November, December time, in the next few months. And really what we're doing is it is completely updated, as I said. It will be reviewed by the team and made sure that everything's cleaned and everyone's happy with it. It's going to be published, as I said, launched. We are speaking with a range of partners who will help launch it. So there will be a range of webinars that we'll be using. So there will be one with the Institute of Workplace and Facilities Management, that's the institute. So we'll be doing some work with them and having some webinars with them. It'll be 2 or 3, and they will go into details of what we had in the document as a guidance document. Also, we'll be doing some other webinars with some other partners as well. So we are going to make sure this goes out far and wide. If you are involved in the field or you're interested, because we have got, as I said, other documents that we will be coming out with in the next 6 months. There are owners ones, there are manufacturers ones. We are more than happy to discuss things with you, but these are very, very specifically around the idea of smart buildings and smart environments. They're not anything beyond there. So if you are in that field, that would be great. Right, I've rushed through that to keep it short.